Right now, yeah, you should go. Yeah, you should go. Because you just killed your boyfriend.
I'm very upset, but my anger is expressed differently. I don't shout.
This is really, really sad. We just lost another germ to domestic violence. We just lost another germ. Guys, in this video, I'm going to be telling you about the 3 craziest stories we've had in the past 72 hours. It's been crazy, guys. Let's go. Let's talk about it already. The three true crime stories I'm going to be sharing with you today is the story of Osinachi Nwachukwu, a 42-year-old music artist who just passed away on April 8, 2022. She had 4 kids before her demise, and she was married to Mr. Peter Nwachukwu. Now, stories say that Osinachi was in a toxic and abusive marriage with her husband. We're going to be talking about the story of Chinyere Ogudoro and Benjamin Ogudoro, who also lost her life due to being horrifically burnt alive with her brother. And the third story I'm going to be sharing with you is the story of Ifeanyi Toby, Obumseli, and Courtney Taylor. You guys, these all are stories of relationships, marriage, and toxic relationships, and unfortunately had all ended up to the demise of at least one of the persons involved. These are all tragic stories and true crime stories, and I'm going to be sharing all that in this video. If you're new to the channel, please take this minute to subscribe by hitting on the subscribe button, turn on the post notification bell. Guys, let me talk about Osinachi Nwachukwu. I mean, this story is so sad that at this moment I feel very sober. Osinachi is one of the very popular music artists who actually had a breakthrough with the beautiful Igbo song called EKWUEME with Prosper. That song really trended. People loved her voice. It was really an epic music. People wanted to hear more from her. But unfortunately, nobody knew she was battling in an abusive marriage. Now, Osinachi died April 8, and a story said she died from throat cancer after battling for 2 months for her life. And then, unfortunately, on April 9th, 2022, also a popular music artist in Nigeria, Frank Edwards, decided to hint the public on how Osinachi died or what caused her death. These are all allegations, are not proven yet, and so I'm just going to say the way it was shared. Now, guys, before I continue, take a sneak peek into the conversation that Frank Edwards shared in his Facebook Live.
It's unbelievable. The other time, we met at an event. That is after we had that phone call that the husband didn't let anybody help him. And now after, so how are you doing now? At least I said to her, I'm happy that at least he's allowing you to come out to minister now, and her music is good. In fact, that I didn't know it has gotten to the point of domestic violence. Auntie Joy, who tried to help Osinachi, is as well a lawyer. She did everything to help that lady, but this man just refused. She's as well a lawyer, and she has promised that this will not go just like that.
Now, from that Facebook Live, we could tell the story behind. Frank said, you know what, this man was jealous of Osinachi's growth, and basically she died from domestic violence. I mean, from his hint, he said he didn't know that this violence was going to end to her death, and he actually said that he had tried to help her in little ways, with also a young woman, Mrs. Joy, a barrister, who had actually gotten a recording label, set up a studio for her to come do her music, but unfortunately she couldn't even make it down there because she always has to get permission from her husband before she attends anything. This is not a very new practice, especially for the Igbo clan. I mean, there's always this very high breed of humility the women are supposed to have for the men. The men control most of their movement, and they only work with approval. And so with the Osinachi Nwachukwu story, I think to some extent we the public kind of believe and understand the narrative behind what Frank Edwards is sharing.
So according to Frank Edwards, so many attempts had been made to try to help, but Osinachi clearly could not. Frank said that Osinachi had to tell of some clients about something about trying to beg the husband for approval before she attends a concert or something. And basically, this is one of the big turnoffs that clients do not even want to hear about, especially when they are looking at you as a serious artist. So from this story, we can actually say Osinachi died from domestic violence. And now, one of the reasons why this story is really getting ugly is that we have actually seen this very annoying from a Nigerian pastor, Pastor Newman, and he said he validated her death. He said she had to carry her cross, abusive marriage or not, everybody has a cross, and this is a cross. Now, people have been down and screaming their heads off at this narrative and this sermon of the religious people, sect in the country, preaching that people should remain in toxic marriage. I mean, for a gospel minister to die of domestic violence, there's no way the church wouldn't have been aware. There is no way her friends wouldn't have been aware. People have been crying and screaming and even accusing Frank Edwards of not doing something before her death. But the unfortunate part is that we all know that, I mean, you can't tell a grown person what to do. If they don't want to leave their marriage, you can't force them to. It's been really crazy here. The trends has been crazy. Furthermore, there's also a horrific story of Chinyere Ogudu and Ifeanyi, Chinyere's younger brother, who were burnt alive by the husband, Benjamin Ogudu, a 50-year-old man who decided to sell his wife's property without her knowledge. So the stories say Chinyere and Benjamin have been married for a while, for 10 years. They have 4 kids together, and that unfortunately they've not been having a very wonderful relationship. It's been toxic and fights. Stories say at some point people had seen Benjamin chasing Chinyere with a machete, and things got better. Chinyere was actually working in a bank before she decided to relocate to Scotland, where she was having her master's, and then her visa allowed her to take her whole family, which she did. And stories say Benjamin didn't spend so much time with them at Scotland as he returned back to Nigeria. Now, the reason why Chinyere came back to Nigeria hurriedly was shared in the story that the husband Benjamin was actually thinking of selling off their home in somewhere in Abulado in Lagos, Nigeria. And so Chinyere hurriedly came back to Nigeria on March 31st, 2002 to try to stop that. These are all allegations, rumors, the stories we've heard. And they said Benjamin was really mad that all the documents of the house were actually under the wife's name and not his. So probably that was why he was unable to sell the property. Now, Chinyere on arrival called the brother to come and pick her up from the airport, Ifeanyi, and Ifeanyi did just that. And when they got to the house, he said he didn't meet Benjamin. He was out drinking at a nearby bar. And then they said afterwards he came in and he started verbally abusing, both Chinyere and Ifeanyi. Now, they said they never uttered a word back to him because they knew he was already high and a very toxic person. So they maintained their cool, and then that he accused them of locking him out of the house. And they said Chinyere clearly said he had the keys to the house. Why would he say he was locked out? There were kind of reigns of abuses from Benjamin's and at the end of the day, Chinyere decided to go to bed. Now, the reason why Ifeanyi stayed back is probably not known. It will all be speculations. From a perspective, we could say maybe Chinyere was scared of staying in that house alone with her toxic husband, and so probably told or begged Ifeanyi to stay over. Or maybe Chinyere needed to do certain things and needed the brother's help. So the stories is they went to bed, and while they were sleeping, Benjamin came in while they were deep asleep, poured fuel on them, turned off the water supply into the room, and lit the room on fire, locking the door behind him. Now, he went out and he was screaming when he was sure the house had been set ablaze and they must have been consumed by the fire. And he was screaming out, people came in, and it was just as if God wanted to expose this evil act, because the stories of how this actually came out was, unfortunately for him, even though Chinyere died at the spot because she was burnt beyond recognition, Ifeanyi managed to survive even though he was badly burnt. And while he was still breathing his very last breath, he had enough time to share what had happened to them. He said the husband had come into the room and poured fuel on them and lit it on fire. And that was how the whole truth came out to the public. This story was actually shared by BBC Africa by the widow of Ifeanyi. She's a young girl who's crying and saying, you know what, I have a 1-year-old child and I'm still expectant. How do I tell my kids their father was burnt to death by their in-law?
How do I get to tell my kids that their father died? He didn't die in an accident. He wasn't sick. How would I get myself to tell them that he was burnt? My name is Princess Munachi Njokwuru. I'm the wife of late Mr. Ifeanyi Njokwuru, the deceased, who was killed alongside the sister, late Mrs. Magella Chinyere, OGUDORO.
This is a really sad story, another crazy story of domestic violence. And guys, the last story is the story of Christopher Toby Obumseli. Now, the story behind this is Christopher Toby was actually stabbed to death by his white girlfriend, Courtney. And they were living in their expensive condo in the United States of America. Toby is 27 years old, was 27 years old, and Courtney is 25 years old. Now, stories say they probably were having, people say they've seen them have altercations. They said they've seen Toby raise his hand trying to hit on Courtney. According to Toby's family, there has never been any abuse from Toby. It has always been from Courtney. So the stories are a bit still sketchy. These are all allegations and stories, but the truth is at least a person has died in a relationship and in these marriages, and it's really horrific. Now, after Toby's death, Courtney was arrested, and while she was arrested, they say she started faking that she was mentally not okay, and she had to be sent into a psychological clinic, mental clinic, for medications, and afterwards probably released. And right now Courtney is roaming around the streets very free, and she was actually seen at a bar. And guys, that was where the story really got loud.
I'll videotape her right now. Yeah, you should go. Yeah, you should go. Because you just killed your boyfriend. Yeah, you did. Yeah, and yeah. Okay, cool.
People have been on Twitter saying the most, and the bad part of the story is that Christopher Toby was actually one of those black men who didn't like black women, who was a racist to his own color, and people have been having a big fight. People say, should we fight for him? Some people say he doesn't deserve to have a fight because he clearly denounced his own color and body shamed black women. This story is wild. We're definitely going to be talking about it in a broader perspective. There's so many things coming in. And guys, I have so much more to share about the story. But yeah, this is it. It's really sad. People are dying. And these are things that can be avoidable. Guys, what do you have to share? What do you have to say about these crazy stories? Horror movie stories that are somehow real-time stories.
So you guys, this whole domestic violence thing is really a sucker. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Guys, I'm going to see you all in another video. For now, I feel too bad to even say see you on the next one. But hey, it is what it is. We really have to start having loud conversations on this. And guys, we're definitely going to be talking about this in the voice of reasoning. I will definitely bring this to the table because we have a lot to still talk about. This is really, really, really sad.